pictures are the very first thing that people see when they're looking for homes online.
Yeah, it's about having that professional you can call in, and also that professional you can blame, and someone that can come. That's good.
It's pouring down rain on Monday, and we knew we were going to have pictures and go live on Tuesday. Well, I don't really want a house that's listed or has pictures of it in the pouring down rain. It's not going to show as well.
Yeah.
So typically I tell my clients, let's push it back to Tuesday. We go live on Wednesday. Somebody that can come in and get the job done in a reasonable amount of time. I don't need somebody that's going to be there for 6 hours just to take pictures of the living room in 18 different ways. I need a couple of shots and that's great, but I want somebody to come in there that's going to be time efficient because a lot of people work from home.
What's the deal, everyone? Welcome back to the studio. Today, I'll be giving you a highlight reel from a recent interview I did. Local Raleigh Realtor and friend, Leslie Ward. I end up cutting out a lot of the banter not directly related to the topic at hand, and I also cut out a lot of the parts where I just continue to ramble on about the topic we just covered. So if you're interested in hearing all the rest of my ramblings, you can join my members program here on YouTube, where you get to see all the behind the scenes and the extra long interview type stuff, and honestly, you get to support this channel's growth in the process. This is the second interview I've done for my channel. I plan to do a whole lot more in the future. If you're new here, I'm Jeremy Deal, and I talk about being a full-time creative with a focus on running a real estate visuals marketing company, and of course, the gear it takes to do that. Almost every question I asked in this interview was from someone who follows me here. So if you have a specific question for agents and brokerage that you want answers to, but you don't really want to ask yourself, make sure you subscribe to the channel for the next time I announce an interview and open up a post where you can ask all of your questions. The sponsor for today's video is Virtual Staging AI, but a little bit more on them later on in the video. With all that being said, let's jump right into the beginning of the interview.
My name is Leslie Ward. Been in real estate since 2015, so it's been a little bit of a wild ride. I've seen quite a few changes over the years, but it's been a lot of fun. I do about $10 million in sales a year, and that started at the end of 2019 when I switched firms. So I've been able to kind of really grow my business, and it's been a lot of fun.
So what firm did you switch to?
I am now with Raleigh Realty.
And how long have you been there?
4 years.
All right, awesome. All right. So now that we've got our general statements in, we'll go ahead and start with the first burner. Generally speaking, what is more important in today's market for agents when they're shopping for a creator? Quality, price, or something else?
I think it's kind of a combo of both, right? I need somebody that's going to give me great quality for a reasonable price. I don't want to extend my budget too much when I'm marketing a home, but I also want to make sure that I'm paying that person fairly as well. So as long as they're giving me some good quality and they have a good turnaround over the next couple of days after we do our shoots, then, usually I'm pretty happy.
What do you usually consider a good turnaround? Because I know this market is a little crazy, and I used to do 2-day turnaround on my high-end stuff and video work, but I've kind of been pushed into moving to more of a 1-day turnaround, even if that does negate my quality a little bit. You are always shooting your houses way before the list date. So I'm actually going to rearrange this question, I guess, last minute on you, because most agents that I shoot for are very last minute. They're like, the very last thing that happens is I shoot the house, photos come back the next morning, and the house goes live that morning.
Sometimes that does happen.
Yes.
The last couple of ones that you shot for me, it was more of a quick turnaround, so I needed the picture sooner rather than later. But we also planned that in our marketing date. So I knew exactly when you were coming over, I knew when I was going to get pictures back, and then I knew that when we could actually hit that market. But in the past, I've got 3 or 4 homes that are sitting basically out there just waiting to be listed. And we did those months ago.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just because my buyers haven't found anything they love. So, or my clients have not, they're looking, but so we can't sell until they find something. So I do like to plan ahead if I possibly can, but I also know that it's not always doable in every case. So if I can get something turned around in 1 day, that's fabulous. But I would say in my personal business, 2-day turnaround is generally plenty for me.
Turnaround times, like I said, the majority of agents I work with are very, very last minute. Now, would you say that is, when it comes down to like these last minute ones, is it more because the buyers are kind of holding up their feet on something, or what generally or is it because it's maybe a last minute listing and the buyer wants to go live super quick? What generally causes these super fast needs of turnaround times?
Sometimes it's the buyers are under contract with their new home and they've got to sell their house like that.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
we need to list it as soon as possible.
So a lot of times these buyers are actually doing the correct thing and waiting until they find a house to
Yes.
list instead of putting their house up on the market and then looking for a house.
Yeah, I get clients that do both,
Uh-huh.
but I think it's more productive to go out and find something you like if you have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Not every client does.
No, that
So
makes sense.
some clients have to be under contract before they can go look. And I've got a situation going on like that right now. So we have to get them under contract before we even go start looking. They don't even want to start looking at homes until their house is, at least well into the contract because it makes them nervous.
Yeah. So here's a question for you that I've gotten a couple times, and I think I know the answer, but I don't necessarily know it. And it once again comes down to kind of turnaround time, since we're still on that question. Weather dictates a lot of what we can do as photographers. And I also have a lot of agents I work for that are like, I do not care what the weather looks like. I need those pictures because I need to go live. So is that because y'all's contract dates are written like so firmly? Or is it just because the agent that's just their personality trait, would you think?
It might be more the agents.
Okay.
We can adjust the marketing date if we need to.
Okay, that's very good to know.
We can make adjustments if we need to. If it's not going into MLS, then we'll make adjustments to our contract. So
That's
if
good to
it's
know.
pouring down rain on Monday and we knew we were going to have pictures and go live on Tuesday, well, I don't really want a house that's listed or has pictures of it in the pouring down rain. It's not going to show as well.
Yeah.
So typically I tell my clients, let's push it back to Tuesday. We go live on Wednesday. And in a majority of cases, it's not the end of the world to have that one less day.
Yeah.
We can always redo some paperwork if we
Yeah.
need to, and just every party agrees and we initial it. It's not that hard.
So how much print material do you do when you put a house live, like flyers or brochures or anything like that? How much print material do you create for a property in particular?
I do them for open houses, but typically I don't print a lot of stuff because I don't need to.
Okay.
Everything's out there on the internet. So
Yeah.
unless it's an open house, then that's when I'll make the flyer. So it's something that potential buyers could take home with them, think about it, has my information so they can call me if they don't have an agent, or they can go through their agent to reach out to me with any questions they might have.
I know there is very little print material these days, it seems, and it is just about, but sometimes I arrive to houses to photograph them that aren't live yet, and the agents have already taken pictures themselves and printed up flyers that are sitting there, even though I'm coming before the house. So I guess they do that for agents, do like a coming soon that only other agents can see. Isn't that a thing? Where you kind of invite other agents over to see a house before it technically goes live?
It's a great question. I've never done that before. I've had an agent open house on a listing. We were on the market for a while. This is 2017 maybe. It's been a long time since I did that listing, and it'd been sitting, and I knew it was overpriced. Explained that to my seller, it was overpriced, but he was very persistent about the price. So I had agents from my office. I just did an open house. They came in there and wrote down feedback that I could literally give to my seller and saying, I had 15 agents coming here today. This is all of their feedback. Take it or leave it. And sometimes
That's
that's
awesome.
what you need to do as an agent, because they need somebody else's opinion or they need somebody else's thoughts, not just yours.
Oh, for sure. I've noticed it's got to be extremely difficult as an agent trying to convince homeowners over what they believe to what you know is right. Whether that be
Yeah.
the sale price or the interior design or the changes they need to do to get top dollar. I'm sure it's a little touchy because you have to not only be firm and assertive, but also be kind and giving because you don't want to
Yeah.
offend them.
You don't want to be rude. You
Yeah.
don't want to come off as a rude person, but you also tell them, like, I've done this before. This is what I would recommend you do before we go live, before we even have a photographer come in there. And then tell me how much time do you think it's going to take for you to do these things?
Yeah.
And which ones on this list are most important to you that you think you can do? I mean, I don't tell everybody they need to go in and put granite in their kitchens because it's not always worth it.
Yeah.
Right? Some of my clients have done that in the past, but it doesn't necessarily work for everybody. Or putting, brand new hardwood floors in their living room doesn't always make sense, right? So when we go over and we talk about things that they might need to do to their home in order to list it or get top dollar. And then we talk a lot about paint colors and decluttering and taking down certain things off the wall. Some art is probably not going to be the best, right? But I also...
Some art might be the best.
I mean, I love art. I love art. And, it is nice that you can, when you're a seller, definitely like live in your home, right?
Yes.
You want to be comfortable in your home. But in the same sense, you're showing it to strangers.
Yeah.
So you want them to come in there and really feel at home themselves.
I want to tell you about today's video sponsor, virtualstaging.ai. It does not matter if you're a professional photographer in the real estate space, a brokerage running a team, or a single agent wanting to increase the look and feel of their brand online, then virtualstaging.ai is a no-brainer for you. It's not only the cheapest virtual staging you can find, it's the best AI-driven product there and has multiple styles of furniture and room types to choose from. They're even working on a declutter option, so now you can remove the furniture that's there and replace it with styles that match your feel and vibe. Check out my link down below where you can find a nice size discount, and when you sign up, it also helps this channel grow in the process while using a website I currently use with my clients for deliveries. So it's something I stand behind.
Now, playing off that last question, what role does the visual content play in attracting buyers and sellers to a listing? So directly, photo, video, 360, social media, all of it. What percentage or role would you give that in the importance of your marketing strategy?
I think it's all big. Like, it's all huge, honestly, because pictures are the very first thing that people see when they're looking for homes online. And a majority of buyers are out there looking on Zillow and all these other websites out there that have pulled pictures from MLSs. I think pictures are huge. I've always wanted to have you come in as a professional photographer, videographer, to be able to represent my houses the best you possibly can. And I think that social media is a great way of putting it out there and just, showing people what your day-to-day life is like and what you're doing, but also it's able to promote those homes, right? I love the lifestyle videos I've started doing. They're super fun to do. They're not super time consuming, and they really can showcase a certain part of the home and make it feel like it can be yours as a buyer out there.
I like them. I think it's cool. It's also nice that you get to repurpose it for social media content in the way that you do. I think that's pretty cool. So, so basically, the photos are kind of make or break. They are what get people in the door.
I personally believe that. I mean, when I'm going through pictures in the MLS and I see toilet seats up, or people standing in front of a bathroom mirror and they're with their cell phone taking a picture, and it drives me crazy. I seriously it just drives me crazy. So I want to hire somebody that knows what they're doing. I mean, I don't have that vision that you do, and I need somebody that does.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. Perfect answer. We're going to move on to the next question. Now, I know we've been working together for a long time, but let's say I was to move to BFE nowhere and you had to find yourself a new creator. What is the best way to approach real estate agents and offer their services? And what strategies would you avoid for creators trying to reach out and get new agents?
It's a really great question. My current office, we don't have a physical office, so we all work remote. And so it's a little bit trickier for us to have people come into our office and introduce themselves. I have been part of a BNI before, our Women's Power Networking group before, so I've been able to meet people that way, and that's been great. I think BNIs are really nice because you can just go out and introduce yourself, show them what you do, and then a lot of those are just referral based.
Yeah.
We both run our businesses on referrals, right?
Yeah.
And I want to do the very best I can for my clients. And so I think that I think if you're going into a physical office, that's great. And give them your card, see if they'll do a presentation. You can do a presentation at a meeting. I've done those when I was with another office, and they would come in here and there just to share their information, show a video or pictures and that sort of thing. I think in my case, it's a little trickier right now because we don't have a physical office for anybody to come in and do that. I am not one that likes to get a bunch of emails saying, this is what I can do. I get that stuff all the time and I ignore them, honestly, because I don't know you from somebody else, right? So I want to be able to work with somebody I can trust, and I've referred you to other agents in my office and, for various reasons and various jobs that you've done for me. And so I think that, to me, that's just a better way of growing it. I like more of the organic growth.
So you're saying that you think in-person meetings, whether that be agency related or networking events,
Yes.
whatever that in-person face-to-face
Yes.
connection, because word of mouth is everything. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Actually, I had this conversation with the last agent I interviewed, and she said that these marketing meetings for agencies was a good place for creators to find agents. And I think it's ironic that you're now the second agent that told me that. And in all of the groups and all of us real estate photographers that communicate back and forth to one another, they all consider that kind of like a wash or a waste of time, for lack of a better term.
But how else are you going to get your name out there, right?
No, I understand. I personally think that networking, just like you, personal face-to-face networking is the way to go. My company has never had any luck with the agency meetings personally. We have had luck with networking events. We've also we joined the Raleigh Realtor Association. What is it? I can't remember what it was. We did it 3 years ago. We joined that and it was okay. But yeah, so far, without a doubt, face-to-face interaction, emails has gotten us nowhere. We've never got even a call back from a cold email.
I delete them.
Yeah, that's the same way I am. If I don't know the email address, I instantly delete it.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't even open it up.
Yeah, I never do.
Delete.
I'm the same way. Like I said, I think, and I went over this in the last interview, but I think I think spam emailing agents is kind of a bad way to do it. And I never tell people to do that.
It's a turn off for me, for sure.
All right. So, as we spoke about a little bit earlier, or you mentioned, should I say, I know every agent does have a budget for each property that they're listing. Can you explain how it is you come to that number for your listing? Is it more based off of square footage or sale price or your own personal marketing strategy at the time?
Another great question. So I think for me, it varies a little bit. It depends on the home. And if I think it's more of like a video type home or if it's not, right? I might put a little bit more into certain homes versus others when it comes to video, but I'm always going to do the same quality pictures.
Yeah.
I think that is always baseline, right? But I think it's just, for me, I don't have a set number. It's more probably based on sales price than it is square footage, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense. Like I said, these are pricing questions are probably some of the most often questions I get from my subscribers. And when I come to do these interviews, it's the number one question everybody sends me. It's all about pricing. How do I know the number I'm presenting an agent isn't too little and isn't too much? You know what I mean? So we also make money vastly differently. We make money directly off of a product. You make money that you have to invest into before it even comes to fruition.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing that a lot of real estate photographers and creators kind of forget, is the fact that when an agent lists a house, you're paying us before you get paid.
Oh, I pay you sometimes months before I get paid.
I think a lot of creators think they know what agents make per house. That's what I should say. A lot of creators think they know what agents are making. But doing these interviews, I'm really trying to break down that wall between creators and agents to hopefully be a little bit more open and fluid about everything. So, like I said, the creators following me, I understand that maybe you want to make a little bit more for what you're doing, but you also have to understand that you're getting paid before they get paid. And sometimes these deals fall through and you get paid and they never get paid.
That's happened before.
Sometimes we show up to a house and we photograph it and do video and charge $800 to an agent. And 2 weeks later, the homeowner decides that they don't want to sell anymore. And they just completely take it off the market. And that's a wash for that agent. That's money that had to come out of their pocket, basically.
And the time that was spent. It's not even just the money that we paid for that. It's also the time that we spent to do all that. So it's definitely happened to me in the past where homes just didn't sell for whatever reason. And it happens to every agent. It really does. Even some of the best agents have homes that just don't sell for various reasons. But, I always want to invest money into my properties that I'm trying to sell because I'm hoping it's going to put that house out there and get top dollar. It's what I ultimately want for my clients is to walk away with as much money as they possibly can in their pockets.
Nice.
And they're happy.
That's awesome.
They're ready to move on.
That's a good way to put it. I know a lot of these homeowners aren't too happy about selling their houses to begin with. It's like I said, y'all have a very tricky position in this whole thing.
Some homeowners are a little bit more attached than others. Some it's more of a business transaction.
Yeah, that's true.
It just depends on the client.
Yeah, I think.
And I have to approach it differently with every seller. Trying to figure out, is this going to be transactional or is this going to be more of an emotional sell?
That's why I always tell my creators this sometimes if they listen, but I always tell my agents, like, if something goes wrong, just blame it on me. It doesn't matter. They'll never see me again. They got to keep dealing with you and they've got to refer you after. Just blame it all on me. That's totally cool.
Just blame it on you.
Just blame it on me.
That's fine.
All right, let's move on to the next one. When you look back to like the 2022 lockdown, 360 tours became really popular for a short amount of time. Now, they are kind of still popular. I do still do them, but not so much. But either way, I digress. Now that times have changed again, close to mid-2024, for those of you watching this, are there any emerging trends or technologies in real estate that visual creators should be aware of? And an example is like we were just talking about your lifestyle
videos. Yeah. I think they're really fun. When you approached me about doing one, I was like, well, I have the perfect house for it. I have one that's going to be coming on the market soon. Let's just do that together and see. And it was super fun to do. And it was easy. Yeah. We spent 4 hours or so together, but that included you taking pictures and other things as well, not just the video itself.
Yeah.
But I would say the lifestyle video took maybe an hour and a half-ish, hour and 40. It was under 2 hours. I really think so.
Yeah, and that also includes all the rest of the footage of the house I had to get.
Yeah.
Just the you on lifestyle part probably took less than an hour, realistically.
Probably. I mean, we had to do a few things back and forth, multiple times, but that's okay.
Yeah, we run the script in a few different places, and then we run it a few different times. But overall, I thought it came out really well. You were really nervous about it, and look at you now.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think lifestyle videos. I still do virtual tours for clients, believe it or not.
Okay.
Just from clients that are moving here from out of town.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I have some that just moved here from West Coast, and they closed on their home a couple weeks ago and finally just moved in. So, it's like I finally got to meet them in person. I'd seen them through video, but hadn't met them in person. So it's just nice to have that face-to-face as well. But I'm still doing virtual tours. And not so much of like hiring you to do those for me, because I'm usually walking around with my camera and my phone doing it so they can see the space. But, lifestyle videos are just a lot of fun. Yeah. I think they're just a blast to do. And so I would highly recommend doing them again. I would do it again.
Nice.
For sure.
I agree. I think they're an interesting hit in the market, especially if you're an agent who is maybe trying to focus a little more on social media this year and expanding your brand. I do think it goes towards something for the sale of the house because, again, it gives that viewer more of a feeling of what it's like to live in that house as opposed to just see that house.
Right.
That's what I think is so cool about them. But I think, moreover, it's a huge branding opportunity for agents that goes beyond the sale of that house. For the next 10 years, you'll be able to use those style videos in clips or any way possible to expand your own personal brand.
Well, and I'm also trying to expand my social media. I've never really been the best at it over the years, but in the last couple of years, I realized, especially in 2020, we were trying to do a lot of things through phones and cameras and whatnot. So social media has just become a bigger thing. And I personally don't use a ton of social media all the time, but I know that I've got to grow my business that way. So I'm trying to expand. I'm trying new things. You'd be proud of me. So it has been fun. It's been fun to try some new things and really expand my business and be able to grow. And like you said, it's just more of something I can use down the road as well.
Yeah, I think me personally, if I was to go sell my house again, which hopefully I'd never have to do again, because I love where I live right now. But if I was to sell my house again and I was to have to find an agent, the the lifestyle video would instantly be a sale for me on that agent.
When you have the perfect property to do it at too. Just saying, your fabulous front porch, your big, all the land around you and things like that. You have the perfect property to do one of those lifestyle videos.
I do love it out there. But like, I think that really, when it comes down to a selling, like if a homeowner is trying to decide between you or another agent and they see that video, it's an instant sale because they can see how much further you went than any other agent to represent that house. Mm-hmm. So every agent is going to get photos taken. So good photos are kind of a given.
Right.
About half of the agents are going to do either 360 tour like a Matterport or Kula or a video. But only about 5% of the agents are going to be on film in front of the house, and even less are going to be showcasing the way the house actually feels to live in.
Yeah, and it takes time to get used to being in front of a camera.
It does.
You gotta really put yourself out there, which could be a little nerve-wracking, but I feel a lot more comfortable than I used to be in front of the camera. So, and again, we've worked together for years. We've done various projects together over the years too, but I've gotten a lot more comfortable in front of the camera.
Yes, for sure. If you go back and watch my first YouTube videos, you'll see how uncomfortable I was in front of the camera also. So when it comes down to the vertical style content, we'll just leave it at vertical style. So whether it be vertical pictures or vertical video for social media that you can use for other purposes, generally speaking, would you say that goes towards the sale of the house, or are those being created more to enhance an agent's brand and marketability?
I think the latter. Okay. I think it's being used to really stand out a little bit when it comes to selling a home, of course, but it's also helping the agent expand their business and grow their business.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Zillow keeps changing its mind on what it wants to do with video services. Sometimes it's at the top of the page, sometimes it's at the bottom of the... How much do real estate agents hate Zillow?
100% of them do, because it's never accurate.
Yeah. The
Zestimate is always wrong, and then you have to explain to your client why the Zestimate is wrong. So you've got to not just pull your comps, you really have to come in and show them and prove them why it's wrong. Yeah, not my friend. It never has been.
So let me ask you another question then. North Carolina is very rare, I've come to learn, in the fact that floor plans and measurements are done on almost every house here.
Yes.
Apparently, most other states aren't like that. There's only like 5 or 6 states that really do that in the U.S., which I didn't know. I learned that recently from Cy. Y'all have seen him on my channel here before. But either way, here in North Carolina, it's very popular to do floor plans and measurements.
Yes.
I don't offer those services because I hate doing them. My question is, do you do those things yourself, or do you outsource those to someone else?
I outsource those. I mean, as being a licensed real estate broker, I can go and measure homes, but I've got to get within 10% of that square footage. So if I'm off more than that, it makes me nervous because I could come back and I could be in trouble potentially.
Yeah.
So I hire an appraiser, not to appraise the home, but to come out and actually measure it.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot.
And it gives me exact measurements of the property itself, but also for the bedrooms, because bedrooms, living rooms, kitchens, people want to know how big that space is. You can't always tell in a photo, even looking at it from various angles.
Yep.
And people want to know if their furniture can fit. They've got to be able to figure that out. So I always hire an appraiser to come out there and do that. Sometimes that gets done early before listing, but also sometimes that is something that happens a few days after, depending on schedules.
Okay. So do you not take advantage of the Kubicasa platform then?
What is that?
Okay, so for all of my people following me, a lot of them also do measurements and floor plans because it is a very popular add-on for creators like me to do. There is I won't say it's new, but it's called Kubicasa, and it uses the LiDAR on your iPhone to create accurate floor plans of rooms for agents for dirt cheap, for probably a tenth of what you pay someone to go do it yourself. I have heard, I don't know personally, but my friend told me, I was trying to look at it the other day to see if this was accurate, but apparently the Florida Realtor Association is about to make a deal with Kubicasa that will make it like extremely sweet for agents to use it.
Wow.
So did you even know this platform existed?
I did not know this existed. This is new to me.
Well, whoever your person is that you hire to do this now, I'm sorry, I just introduced you to this. But obviously we can't go too much further on this question because you don't know it exists.
Yeah.
But it's something that a lot of creators that follow me are kind of worried about because it's allowing agents to do exactly what they're doing now for a way less price. So it's like a downsell for them.
I honestly think I'll still use the same person to measure my homes.
Oh yeah?
It's less time from me that I can work on being in front of clients or being at home with my family and things like that. So I would probably still outsource that, honestly. But
Nice.
also, he doesn't charge an arm and a leg to go out and do it. So to me, it's worth the extra money for him to go out and do the measurements. I know they're correct. I usually get them back in about 2 to 3 days, depending on how large the property is and how busy he is, which I think is very reasonable. I don't think I'll go and do this other thing that you mentioned.
Okay, no, that's good to know.
I think I'll still use him.
That's amazing. I've actually debated on doing Kubicasa myself because agents still ask me to do it, and it's when I tell you it's so easy, a toddler can do it. It is literally
Then maybe I can
it
manage
is just
it.
walking around rooms and pointing your phone like this, and it's just scanning it. It is. I remember when this technology first came out. My buddy Cy, the appraiser who lives in Charlotte now, we first talked about this kind of stuff when it came out. And back then it was very, very shoddy. Now it's so accurate that the real estate board is accepting these measurements directly. They're
Wow.
like, we don't need a middleman to check it out.
North Carolina Real Estate Commission?
North Carolina, from what I understand, is also unique in the fact that whenever you do a floor plan, you need the wall thickness factored in. And that's something that Kubicasa does not do because it's just an interior scan and not an exterior scan.
I think that might be more for condos.
Okay.
Not necessarily every. Because in a condo, you own paint to paint.
Uh-huh.
You don't actually own what's behind the wall.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So with a single family home or even a townhome, you own wall to wall. But with a condo, you own paint to paint. So maybe that's it, but I've never heard of that in North Carolina.
Maybe. I don't know, like I said, I get all of this information because I don't do any of the measurements or appraisals because I've just never, I work with a ton of appraisal companies, so I forward them my business. Hey, look at that, my hand's in your shot. I forward them my business, they forward me their business. So it's just been a steady working relationship. It was never worth it to figure it out to me. But that's good to know. Like their selling point is the fact that, once again, if the homeowner doesn't like what they see, you can be like, hey, that's the measurement guy. I'll get them back out here.
Right.
Yeah, it's about having that professional you can call in, and also that professional you can blame, and someone that can come. Well, I know. So one of the biggest companies I work with, McNamara, if a homeowner or agent is unsatisfied with the number they see, they will send the person that scanned it to that house to sit with the owner for 10 minutes and explain to them exactly why and how they came up with this number and why it's different than they thought it was.
Wow.
Yeah, they really do go above and beyond for little things like that. I always thought that was pretty cool, and that's one of their selling features.
Yeah.
They're like, look, if you ever have a problem, we will walk you through how we got this number.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and so that I think is a benefit and a reason to once again hire a professional.
Yep.
Yeah, my dad always said hire the right person to do the right job.
Yep.
When bringing a new creator into the mix for the first time, what's the most important thing you would be looking for during like your first shoot? So they pull up, you're waiting there with your homeowners, they pull up, they get out of the car, about to do their first shoot. What are you looking for during that shoot that is going to, for lack of a better term, impress you? Be like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing, or this gal knows what she's doing.
It's been so long since I've done that. And I knew you before we even started doing real estate
I know.
photography.
I've known Leslie literally since I moved to North Carolina.
Yeah, pretty much. I need somebody that's going to be personal to my clients because in most cases they're still there, at least at the beginning. They may leave or they might just go hide in the office after you do pictures there. Really just kind of depends on clients. But I need somebody that's going to be personable with them, and somebody that can come in and get the job done in a reasonable amount of time. I don't need somebody that's going to be there for 6 hours just to take pictures of the living room in 18 different ways. I need a couple of shots and that's great, but I want somebody to come in there that's going to be time efficient, because a lot of people work from home. So they may or may not be able to sit in their office the whole time. They may or may have kids at home, things like that, or animals they've got to get out of the house, which can be complicated. So if you're efficient with your home and you're nice to my clients, and I don't care exactly what you show up in, you don't have to wear a suit and tie.
Yeah.
But as long as you look nice, then I think, good to go.
It's funny you say that, because now personable is the number one answer I get, not just from these interviews, when I just talk to agents every time. Personable is the number one answer, which is funny considering the job is photography. But that's what a lot of people new to this industry kind of forget, is that you may be a photographer, but it's also your job to represent that agent when you're on site, and to do that in the best way possible. And that means, just like a server, sometimes shit rolls downhill. Sometimes you take it until you can complain about it later. Your ability to communicate with people and homeowners.
It's key. Communication is key. And letting them know exactly what you're going to do, which I think is great. You always explain to them, you're going to go turn on lights, you're going to do this and that. And then ask them, is there a place you want me to start that makes it easy for you?
Look, now you're giving away my secrets.
Sorry. But it is nice that you respect their home and you go in there and you say, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Is there a place you want me to start? And then if the clients don't care, then sometimes we're out on the back porch and while you're shooting inside or anything, but I'm always there with my photographer. I'm always there with you at every one of my listings. I don't think I've ever sent you by yourself.
That's true.
I don't know why, but I want to be there to be helpful.
Yeah,
Move things out of the way.
There, honestly.
I think it's just also great to have that communication, and I think they'd see that we work well together as a team, because we are on a team.
Yeah.
We might have different jobs, but we still work together to get a house sold.
Not only that, you show up, I show up after. There's sometimes I show up and I have never met that agent before. And the introduction part, I'm sure, can be awkward to homeowners.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, hello, this is the first time we are meeting each other. It's fair. But when you and I see, I've known you for 16 years or something like that now. So that comfortability shows that you're not a new agent. This isn't your first rodeo. You've done this before. You've worked with this person before.
Right.
It goes a lot to your own professionality. There's the word I was looking for.
I think they also trust me a little bit more, and I think they trust you a little bit more, knowing that we have a long-term relationship together. So I think hopefully it makes you feel more comfortable being in the home when you know the agent better than just meeting an agent for the very first time, because I'm sure that can be very awkward.
I think it depends on if the homeowner is there with the agent. Like, sometimes I'll walk up and I'll know it's a female agent that I've never met before, and there are two females in front of me. So who do I say hello to? Who do I pretend like I actually know? Because even when I don't know the agent and I show up on site for the first time, if there's a homeowner there, I'm going to pretend like we've worked with each other. It's not, hello, nice to meet you. It's, oh, good seeing you again.
Right.
Even though this is the first time I've worked with them.
Yeah.
So it's a touchy situation, but I always prefer, like usually when you read over my thing, I like my agents to arrive at that house 15 to 20 minutes before I do, because it allows them time to do all the stuff they need to do, make sure everything's good. The agents typically know more about the house than we do. Mm-hmm. Sometimes
we've been there before.
Will be like, hey, why didn't you cut on the under cabinet lights? Well, I cut on every single switch and I didn't realize that I had to press every single button. I didn't know they were there, but typically the agent does. So I think it's a huge benefit to have agents there for shoots. Homeowners there for shoots is typically a pain in the butt, but as you did say, with everyone working from home these days, it's difficult.
It's inevitable, right?
It really is.
I mean, I don't know the last time you did a shoot and my clients weren't there at least at the beginning or potentially the entire time. And some of them say to try to be helpful as well, which is great.
No, I do like that actually. When I pull up and an agent is there and they're like, hey, I'm getting ready to leave. I just wanted to make sure there was nothing you needed. Or the homeowner, should I say, will say that. And I love that because they know the most about the house.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah. I like that too. Like I said, homeowners being there, but once again, in today's market, it's kind of it's kind of difficult. The only time it really is annoying for me as a creator when homeowners are there is when it's either a group of homeowners that can, like, when it's mom, dad, 2 kids, and 2 dogs. that's when it's very difficult. Or when I'm doing video, because I have to go in each room multiple times. Right. So when I've got to make 3 or 4 passes around the house, and every time I've got to get people to move, it does become a little frustrating.
I can definitely see that. I try to tell my clients, my sellers, like, this is kind of what to expect. Look at the time frame for this. You're welcome to stay the entire time, but also know that he needs some space as well. So, they go out there, walk the dog for an hour, or they take the kids to the park, or they do whatever they need to do. And then while we're wrapping up, I'll just text him or give him a call and say, hey, we'll be done in the next 15 minutes. Feel free to come on back to your house. Or he's done with the inside, he's just doing outside. So come on back in. It just makes it a little bit easier. And then you don't feel like you're kicking them out of every room a million times over again. And, they just get out of the house for an hour, hour and a half, whatever they need to do.
That's something I offer all the time. I always, when a homeowner is there and I can tell they're leaving, I'm like, would you like me to text you when I'm wrapping up and turning off all the lights so you know it's safe to come home?
Yeah.
Because that's what I usually do. And then I'll send them a message 5 minutes before I leave, just so they know, just so that way they know. Once again, I'm a representation of you and your team when I'm there. Mm-hmm. So I need to be as communicative as possible. Photographers are kind of introverted people naturally, so it's hard for them to remember that personable part, like we brought up earlier. So that's why I made sure to, when you said it makes a lot of sense. It's also funny that you said that you want a photographer that will do it in a timely manner, because I've never gotten that answer before, but I also think that's important.
Yes, I don't need somebody that's going to take 5 hours just to take some pictures of a house that's 2,000 square feet. I mean, I could probably do it. Well, let's just be real. My pictures would not be that pretty, even if I did it in 5 hours. But, I just think it needs to be in a timely fashion. These are people's homes. Yes. Unless it's a vacant home, which vacant homes are oftentimes easier to shoot because there's no furniture. You can just go in, there's no people, there's nothing, right?
That is the easiest.
But most homes people are living in these days. And so you've got to be respectful of their time too, at their home and their office and their life at home.
Yeah, this is where they live. It's hard to remember that when I go to 5 houses a day, 5 days a week. It's hard to remember that every single one of them. Like, this is their life.
Home. This is their
for
home.
lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Like, this is where they feel safe.
Right.
And I'm here, so I have to make sure they still feel safe in their safe environment.
You're in their space.
Exactly.
So be respectful of it and have some time management.
Once a creator gets a great agent like yourself as a client, what are things that creator can do to develop a strong working relationship with those agents? Like, maybe that's going above and beyond in certain situations. Is there anything that you can think of?
I mean, I'm not very good at looking at different angles in homes or things like that, or different lighting. So if a creator comes in there and just if they're really good at the little details, I think that's key. Okay. All the blinds are open a certain way in all the pictures, right? All the curtains are drawn in all the pictures, or they're open. I think it's the little things, and attention to detail is what brings you back to utilizing the same person over and over again. That, and also, again, they're personable. I think, again, that's key to really having that relationship with somebody. So I'm trying to think of anything else that...
If those are the things,
I think those are the things.
You don't have to think of anything extra. Like I said, personal, we've mentioned it a bunch of times because it's super important.
Yeah.
Not only is it important to be personable to agents, homeowners, because you're there representing their brand, you have to be personable at networking events to meet these agents to begin with, or you have to be personable and open when you're at the grocery store and you're driving a car that has your company's name on the back of it. Like, your ability to be open, to talk to people with a smile on your face is probably the number one character attribute that everyone forgets about in this industry. Yeah. But agents remember it every single time.
Well, because we also have to put on our faces sometimes when we go into homes, we have to have our personality shine and come out and feel comfortable working with those people. They're hiring us, but we're also hiring them in a way. We've got to make sure the relationship goes both ways.
That makes sense. I like the way that sounds. All right, so this is going to be a long question.
Okay.
So if I need to elaborate or you need any help trying to figure it out, we can go there.
Okay.
All right. A question I've been getting a lot recently from my subscribers is asking about the pros and cons of setting retainer work for agents. So that's kind of the first part of the question. But really, the question is retainer work, becoming an in-house creator for brokerages, or the traditional freelance paper service route.
We have kind of touched base on that subscriber thing, like we had a little bit of a conversation about that a while back. I think I'm at this point in time in my career, I'm only doing so many listings that I personally am not sure that I want to do a subscriber, a subscription, I guess. Is that what I should call it?
The question I get the most is they're calling it a retainer.
A retainer.
So basically what that is like, it's long
I'm
story
paying
short,
you every month.
A certain amount of money per month for
so
a
many
certain
hours.
amount of hours. Exactly.
Okay.
So whether you sell a house, so if you don't have any houses you sell that month, they show up and do branded material for you, whether that be TikToks or Reels or just agent introduction or, anything. Little interviews like this. Who knows what it could be.
Right. I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm there personally to do that in my business.
Sure.
But I can really see an advantage of doing that. I work with a small firm. We have under 30 agents on the team. We're all full-time agents. There's nobody at our agency or office that works part-time. So I think it's something that would be beneficial to our company as a whole. But as an individual agent, I'm not sure I'm there to have this retainer fee every month.
No,
but
for sure. Typically, it is done with brokerages.
I can definitely see an advantage of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Typically, it's done with brokerages. Or, like I said, I don't have any retainers. Anyone watching, I don't do any of this. I'm very new to this. This mainly comes from my subscribers in California. Apparently, this is a popular way of doing business there. So, like I said, I don't have any retainers, but it is popular for small teams. So like the last agent I interviewed, Anita, she recently broke off and created her own brokerage. And I think she has like 8 or 9 agents under her, she said. So it would be something perfect for like her size team.
That could be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. And then that she's just taking care of that, or her agents are paying it in fees or whatever it might be, but you're just there doing X amount of hours every single month in whatever way that's needed.
So if you go back, like let's say 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, it was really popular for brokerages to have their own creators on staff. And I feel like that's not so much a thing anymore. Would I be correct in that assumption?
Yeah, I don't even remember that so much when I got into the business 9 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember, and I worked for a large firm, a very well-known worldwide firm, and I don't even remember having a creator there.
I work for everyone there freelance.
Yeah, we all used individual people for various jobs. So I don't even know if that was a thing then.
Well, I guess I've been doing this now for I don't know, a long time. But
longer than I've been in the business.
Yeah, when I first got into it, that was a popular thing. The biggest agencies, and still to this day, I'm pretty sure Johnny Chappell, pretty sure he has his own creator.
Oh, I'm sure. There's definitely some of the agents around that have people, and that's just what they're paid to do. They work with only them, or the bulk of their job is with them only. So I could see that for certain agents, but I've never really run into that.
Yeah, like I only have one team, I guess, for lack of a better term, but it's like 5 people, but they do everything. But I work strictly but I'm less of I wouldn't call myself an in-house creator because I work with everyone else too. I don't strictly work with their team. I'm not 40 hours a week creating for them.
Yeah.
But I do know they still exist. I was just curious, like you just answered it for me though. Basically, they don't exist anymore. They're very, very rare. I only know of one person in our area that still has one.
Yeah.
So then that's it. That pretty much answers everything. We are rock and roll. That is done.
Awesome.
Anybody you want to say hello to? No? You're all good? All right. We're done.